Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Bloc Party Banquet and the second battle of Britpop. No British canon.
If 2004 was the year of Franz Ferdinand for the Enemy crowd, then 2005 was all about Bloc Party, with razor-sharp guitar work, disco beats, and Kelly Okereke's anguished yelp. They brought the indie set Heartache you could dance to, in spite of studio issues, Gang of Four comparisons, and feuds with Britpop elder statesmen. With Silent Alarm, Bloc Party unleashed one of the most exciting British debuts of the decade. A reaction to the reductive, boring rock and roll surrounding them. They added life, vitality, and whatever else they could find into their jagged yet sensitive post-punk. This is New British Canon, and this is the story of Banquet.
I love what I just heard. That was Bloc Party. She's Hearing Voices single version. Okay, y'all. I've never heard of Bloc Party. This video was recommended to me by Kate. So if you hate the video, be sure to let Kate know. Thanks, Kate. Cheers to Kate. Bloc Party, the early days, 1999 to 2003. Union. She's Hearing Voices and Alex Capranos. Song She's Hearing Voices, single version, Bloc Party.
The formative rumblings of Bloc Party occurred in London in 1999. The teenage Kelly Okereke and Russell Lissack had vaguely known each other through school, but at Reading Festival in 1999 the pair bumped into each other and thought that forming a band might be a good idea. After months of practicing in their bedrooms, they would brew their own simpatico form of guitar interplay. Realizing they needed more than two of them to be a band, they placed an advert in the Enemy for a bass player, tagged with their formative influences. Sonic Youth, Joy Division, Pixies, DJ Shadow. Gordon Mokes would be the outcome. As much as the band was shaping themselves by what they liked, they also knew what they didn't want to be. Namely, neither the acoustic sensitivity of Coldplay, Snow Patrol and Travis, nor the worn-out last strains of Britpop. We were formed in reaction to bands like Oasis. I remember thinking they were so far removed from what I wanted to do. Oasis are an influence to us, in that they made us aware of what we didn't want to do.
I can hear Liam Gallagher now. Noel piping in. I'm sure it's coming. That's very interesting. Let me read those. Sonic Youth, Joy Division, Pixies, DJ Shadow. Okay, yeah. Gordon Mokes. Okay, he's the bass player. I thought they were naming another name. I thought they formed a band called Gordon Mokes in that split second, but he was the bass player now. I get it. Okay. So they were in their bedroom, like jamming. Bedrooms. Cool. Oasis are an influence to us in that they made us aware of what we did not want to do. Liam, got anything to say?
It's aware of what we didn't want to do. The primordial version of the group would gig around London with various not quite perfect drummers for a couple years under the moniker Union. No one was especially hyped for this version of the group. In 2003, Matt Tong would join as drummer. Their ninth. His off-kilter beats exactly what they had been looking for.
Ninth drummer. This is like Spinal Tap.
We had become so focused on rhythm, on using new kinds of rhythms, on building songs around the beats, that it was essential that our drummer be able to run with our ideas. That's why it took so long for us to find one.
Oh. They had to find a weirdo. I mean that in the sweetest, most nicest term. I am a weirdo. Yeah. If he's who was playing what I heard a moment ago, I think he's great. Matt Tong.
A better drummer would not only coincide with a better band name, Bloc Party, but also
That's
better
a good
songs.
Name.
The insistent dance beat of debut single, She's Hearing Voices, would not have been possible without Tong. As well as playing shows, Bloc Party's self-promotion was more proactive than most. Okereke sending out demo CDs with nicely worded notes to whomever might be interested.
You know, I basically ignored everything that was just said since we heard that last music sample. Because I was thinking, the drum part isn't that weird, but there's a energy to it. Part of that is how it's recorded, but also I do feel like most drummers who were trying to be like tasteful would not have played that. And I mean like just in the sense that it is a weird it's a weird kick drum part. But it works. It's not that out of the ordinary. It's just kind of frantic. But I guess that's the energy they wanted, you know?
Voices would not have been possible without Tong. As well as playing
Like the drums, the sound of the drums in that compared to the other instruments going on besides the vocal is very, it's not what you would expect. It's not what most drummers would play, you know? But it matches the vocal very well.
shows, Bloc Party's self-promotion was more proactive than most. A karaoke sending out demo CDs with nicely worded notes to whomever might be interested.
A personal touch. Very smart.
Every single day I'd send them to bands, managers, fanzines, anything to get our name out there. Most often, nobody cared.
Persistence is key, right? Persistence is key.
One of the band's earliest step-ups was when Okereke sent a demo to Alex Kapranos of the rapidly ascending Franz Ferdinand. Won over, Kapranos invited Bloc Party to support them in London in October 2003.
Wait. Where was Franz Ferdinand in their career in 2003? Because that's a huge offer, right? Huge. Like, very generous. I do think they were probably not far along now that I'm thinking of it, right? Did what was that song? Take Me Out come out in 2004, I feel like? For some reason, I feel like. Did I just see that somewhere? 2004, okay. So they hadn't put out an album yet. Okay. So they're about to rise up together. I bet they're creating a scene. This is exciting.
That night, the band handed a copy of She's Hearing Voices to Radio 1 DJ, Steve Lamacq, who loved it and invited them on for an evening session.
Yo, this giving CDs to everyone is actually working. CDs.
Bloc Party would release She's Hearing Voices on Trash Aesthetics in February 2004. Building a...
Wow. I see how it fits in with the Franz Ferdinand thing. Very similar. The two guitars, very distinct, separate parts. Yes.
Small wave from those in the know. It would signal that the Bloc Party buzz train had left the station.
Okay, y'all. Toot, toot. Banquet, Turning Into Myself. 2004. Adamant, Girls and Boys in Wichita. Song, Banquet, 04 version, Bloc Party. What's Adamant have to do with all this? I feel like by 2004 he was past his peak success in the 80s, right? Maybe he hooked him up with somebody. Maybe they opened for him. That'd be good.
In 2004,
Y'all, Matt Tong is a big part of
Party
it.
buzz train had left the station.
Those drums, same energy. That Matt Tong energy, y'all.
In 2004, when Bloc Party emerged the UK indie kids at large, Franz Ferdinand aside, there was a predominance of Strokes and Libertines alike groups on the cover of the NME. Heroin Chic, Loutishness, and Trilbies perched atop their frontmen's ego-inflated heads.
That's what it's there for. So rip it up, yeah. And rip it up and turn it up until you really gotta get out of the way. Got all of this and everyone in the world.
I love that album.
I said, are you gonna be my girl?
They started.
Looking backwards to
Yo, they fit right in all that. They fit right in it. A record label would be dumb not to give them a record deal.
I said, are you gonna be my girl?
looking backwards to retread rock and roll's past with little reinvention, what would eventually be renamed Landfill Indie. This was everything Bloc Party was against. I really want to propose that Bloc Party is a postmodern band. We're not afraid to take from anywhere. There's too much rock that relies on fetishism or nostalgia for the old ways. It's a real enemy to music. It needs to be constantly looking forward.
That's very wise. What is he, like 20-something? Where'd you read that? It's hard to pull out of that nostalgia, you know? Really hard to not rely on the stuff that has worked. but then it gets old.
As such, Banquet is a smorgasbord of sonic sources, each instrumentalist jostling for lead. With its syncopated rhythm and guitars that violently alternate between Okereke and Lisek, Banquet comes across as ultra-caffeinated ska pop. While its high-end synth shimmer in the chorus, a suggestion by first-time producer Paul Epworth, would give
First time. Didn't he do a bunch of work with Adele? Paul Epworth, let me look at that. Show me on there. Paul Epworth. Oh, Adele, Florence and the Machine, Rihanna, Maximo Park. There's a music producers guild? I wish we had that in the States. I don't think we do. We need a guild. A lot of messed up stuff happens in the music industry in the States, and it would be helpful to have a union, I think, to some level. Way to go, Paul. I know you're watching. You're very talented. I enjoy your work. Way to go.
give the song a further danceable sheen. This formula also saw comparisons within the band to Blur's Girls and Boys, another song with a disco beat, Duran Duran bass.
That's way different.
And antisocial.
That's what? That's okay. Maybe they're not accusing them of copying, because they definitely are not, but it has similar little aspects, right?
And antisocial riff work. While the majority of the band were willing to bin the song due to this Britpop resemblance, Okereke vouched for it. Blur, though, wasn't a primary influence for the song, Okereke having a more 80s vibe in mind.
I kind of wanted it to sound like Adamant. That was the only thing that I was conscious about, because I've always thought that Adamant was kind of a cool character, and his music has always had this kind of tribal type feel.
Y'all, I reacted to a Trash Theory video about Adam Ant, and they mention in there that he had this fascination with Native American culture, and he wanted the music to have these big drums, like tribal drums, so he's picking up on that.
Kind of dark, insistent, tribal, tom-heavy music, and I kind of knew that I wanted it to have that sort of feel.
Running with this amp music, Okereke implemented the occasional awoom, in its context in Banquet, a chilling monk-like chant. But actually, an expertly pilfered vocal quirk from Prince Charming. But there are other subtle nods to classic left-of-centre 80s music that Okereke subconsciously added.
At the time of writing, I was listening a lot to a Pixies record, Doolittle. Yes. There was a track on Doolittle called Bleed.
Yeah, I reacted to a Trash Theory video about Pixies. Check it out, maybe. It's good.
I kind of used that for the phrasing of Banquet.
As loud as hell, ringing down.
I guess it wasn't intentional, but you pick stuff up and they bleed into your consciousness. That's something that I noticed afterwards.
Its title was an allusion to a book Okereke had been reading at the time, Confessions of a Flesh Eater by David Madsen, within which the titular cannibal conflates feasting on another to the intimacy of lovemaking.
Yeah. Have you seen Bones and All, that Luca Guadagnino movie? It's exactly that. It's weird. It's kind of gross.
Banquet takes this metaphor and makes it a song about copulation, at its most wanton. It's a song about how sex is about power, submission, domination and real rapacious desire. I wanted really filthy sexual imagery in the song, because that's what sex is. For the most part though, any given couplet from Banquet is up for personal interpretation, its lyrics ambiguously flirting with various themes, mental health, romantic discord, and self-discovery, without ever giving itself away fully. Banquet would be released as a double A-side single with Staying Fat in May 2004 via Moshi Moshi. His low-budget video would receive play on MTV2 in the UK. A support slot on Blur guitarist Graham Coxon's solo tour would gain them further attention, earning them a number 51 charting UK single, a deal with Wichita, and NME's burgeoning interest. Bloc Party would face the usual clumsy attempts at pigeonholing. One of the oft-repeated comparisons was to late 70s funk punkers, Gang of Four. Who had recently reformed and via the new wave of dancey punk were going through a critical reappraisal. Though Bloc Party were taking bits and pieces from everywhere, they hadn't swiped from entertainment. Were forever compared to Gang of Four. We'd never heard of them until people started mentioning it. By early 2005, alongside adopting a comparatively modest and sensitive...
I keep forgetting to stop it because a lot of stuff in this section. First of all, this song, it's really interesting because it's about sex, but it's not like graphic or, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's, what am I trying to say? Turning away from the light, becoming adult. Like, those are very complex thoughts around sex. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So complex, I can't think of what to say. A double A side, okay. With Staying Fat. Play Staying Fat for us. Have we heard Staying Fat yet? Show me. Oh, it's on an EP. I think we heard a bit of that, didn't we? Okay. We're forever compared to Gang of Four.
We'd never heard of them until people started mentioning it. By early 2005, alongside adopting a comparatively modest and sensitive pose in the NME, the boys from Bloc Party were broadcasting their beyond a simple rock band ambitions for their upcoming debut album. I always hear songs that we're about to write as a complete experience. For me, there aren't enough bands making music in full Technicolor, and I want listening to Bloc Party to be a Technicolor experience. I want it to be really huge, not just, here are four guys.
Okay. He has ambition. I'm excited to hear this. The Making of Silent Alarm, Hoping for a Miracle? 2004, Paul Epworth, This Modern Love and Lyrical Abstraction song, This Modern Love.
Back in June 2004, Bloc Party relocated for 3 weeks to Copenhagen in Denmark and Delta Lab Studios. They were again joined by Paul Epworth, who after producing Banquet and the Futureheads debut,
It's easy to try. It's easy anytime.
was making...
It sounds really good. Really good. Delta Lab Studios. Show me on a map. Copenhagen Delta Lab Studio. Delta Lab Apps. It is a recording studio. Oh. It might not be there anymore. I don't know. I'm afraid it may have fallen the way of most recording studios in this day and age. Cheers, Delta Lab. Rest in peace.
Copenhagen in Denmark and Delta Lab Studios. They were...
It's easy to try. It's easy anytime.
was making quite the name for himself. He would later go on to work with Maximo Park, The Rapture, Kate Nash, as well as co-write Adele's Rolling in the Deep.
That's how I've heard of them.
I feel like with Silent Alarm, we caught a band at the right time in the process. We recorded most of the music in Copenhagen, and then we came back and did mostly vocal overdubs in London. I felt like it was a growing process. Kelly wasn't particularly comfortable singing in front of people at that stage, and he'd had tonsil problems as well. The studio itself was half complete, a relic of the 70s, with bare mains cables abound, and vintage equipment that barely worked. Epworth also had a hard time getting the in-house drum kit to sound anything like the slick disco beat they wanted.
I wonder why they didn't bring their own drum set.
This, plus Bloc Party's need to get their debut just right, lent a powerful sense of dread to proceedings. It was a very cold and long month in Copenhagen. It was the first time we'd been away from home for such a long time. It was kind of a stressful period and an intense time. These are the things I remember the most when I look back. But they were saved by the quality of their songs. The band were already so flush with superior material that their long-term set opener, The Marshalls Are Dead, as well as singles Little Thoughts and Tulips,
This could be an opportunity.
didn't make the cut. And all the tunes that remained took Kokerake's postmodernist boast to heart, mixing and matching their sounds, from the repurposed jam riffing of Helicopter to the lush,
That's different enough.
almost Yola Tango harmonies of This Modern Love.
This modern love.
That sounds very different from their other stuff. I see what they mean by wanting to take influences from others. Like different genre.
Alongside the post-punk thrash of Luno, and the post-rock slow burn of Compliments. But production-wise, they were also looking outside rock tradition. There's a real sense of space and atmosphere that you will hear in a techno house style, but you will not hear in a 3-minute guitar pop song. It is a very difficult thing to try to put the two together without sounding lame. We are excited by it. The two songs, Positive Attention and She's Hearing Voices, are examples.
I'm gonna make it happen. She said.
The overpowering drums and heart and sleeve lyricism of Opener, Like Eating Glass, had been prompted by Okereke hearing an electronica version of a Smiths song.
Take me out tonight.
That remix of There Is a Light, it just obsessed me. I wanted to make a song like that, one that was aching and melodic, and yet at the same time insistent, with a real groove.
It's so cold in this house.
That was the initial idea, and then it took us ages and ages to get it right. The drums especially. We beat that song into shape.
You know, I'm realizing that these guys have a lot of creative freedom, taking influences from all these different genres. I feel like if they were in America, there would be a record label person visiting the studio once in a while and saying, you know, you can't have that trance electronic atmosphere on a rock song, right? Just can't do it. Let's order pizza. These guys, I guess maybe that's part of the reason why they went to Copenhagen. It's probably a budgetary thing. But it does, I feel like it gives them freedom. If they were in London doing this, there would be more outside influences. That's not the word. More local pressures. Moving forward.
Let's drink poison. Eating us.
The struggles in actualizing their creative vision went beyond their shoddy studio setup. The making of fan favourite This Modern Love almost came to blows.
There was quite a serious argument we had about you putting a mandolin on This Modern Love. Like, nobody in the band wanted to do it, and Paul was like, you have to do this.
Oh.
There was a weird kind of standoff kind of moment where we were like, no, we don't actually want to do this. I don't really know how it got resolved.
Is it in there? Those stringy notes I'm hearing could be a mandolin. I think it's weird for the producer to push that hard, but I mean, he knows what he's doing, I guess, right? I think it's in there.
How it got resolved, but the mandolin ended up being on it, and it was fine. You know, I feel now I can totally appreciate where the intention for that came from. But at the time, it was like I wanted to like strangle him.
Wow, man, I gotta hand it to Paul for pushing, because if I was the producer, I would say, hey guys, want to put some mandolin on this? No. Okay. Cool.
That tension ended positively. The first time Ikarike heard the final mix of This Modern Love,
Oh, no.
he was in tears.
Crap.
Don't get offended, stream absent-minded, keep telling me facts and keep making me smile.
It was so perfectly what we set out to make. A song that's like two people on the telephone who can't touch each other.
Baby, you got to be more demanding. I'll be yours.
And as the song and the conversation
Wow, modern love. People are on their phones. I see.
I'll be yours.
And as the song and the conversation progress, everything amplifies.
And you told me you wanted to eat up my sadness. We'll jump right and shorty and gorge away.
What starts out small and static, just rhythm and vocals, intensifies the way the conversation intensifies.
Why so scared?
Intensifies to the point where you have the guitars and the glockenspiel and the extra vocal tracks. The lyricism of Silent Alarm maintains the poetic ambiguity of Banquet.
That's interesting. So it just grows and grows and grows and grows to this climax. You know, it's reminding me, I don't think it sounds like this, but it's reminding me of a song by Pulp. What's it called? Crap, what's that Pulp song, y'all? It speeds up. Like every beat is just a little bit faster. It's their most popular song, I think, isn't it? Is it Pulp? Common People. Oh, okay. It actually does kind of sound like it.
Intensifies to the point where you have the guitars and the glockenspiel and the extra vocal tracks. The lyricism of Silent Alarm maintains the poetic ambiguity of Banquet, frequently grasping at abstract ideas so the listener is able to fit their life experience into Ikarike's words. Many have noted the last third of Positive Tension. Its detached, slow build
He said, you're just as boring as everyone else when you tut and you moan and you squeal and you squelch.
being subverted by its emotional outburst of a bridge.
So fucking useless.
An absolutely haywire solo. Before resuming to stoic acceptability, with Ikarike reassuring himself. With this lyrical fidgy-widginess, also made listeners, and especially journalists, leap to conclusions that weren't there. Released amid America's war on terror, Single Helicopter was one such example.
Oh my god, I'm remembering 2004. This is 2004, isn't it? 2004. There was a big debate about going to war with Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction. I'm sure you remember all that crap, which turned out to not be true. I feel like we're doing that again, right? It's coming back around. Bush. Man, you know times are weird when George W. Bush seems like a good option. Okay, we're talking about music, we're not talking about politics. He was born a liar, he'll die a liar, y'all. What a great lyric. Damn, that's depressing. He was born a liar. Y'all, this little baby's lying. Little lion baby. Baby.
It's frustrating that people attribute something to certain songs, and that's not what they're about at all. It's a common misconception that Helicopter is about President Bush.
Well, that's a good assumption.
It's kind of patronizing. More likely, the song was autobiographical. Okereke struggling with his identity. Its unassuming line about not liking chocolate suggests that he felt separate from everyone else, different, with no clear explanation as to why. It's about a sense of helplessness. I'm 23, and in the last 3 years, I've been looking at the world in a different way, and that song was born out of a sense of helplessness. Impotence, really, that nothing's really going to get better.
Damn, that sounds like depression. Okay, wow. Whew. The aftermath of Silent Alarm. I have a feeling it went pretty well. 2005 post-punk revival feuding with Oasis and Legacy. Liam's coming into the fall in the third act. The Gallagher brothers into stage left. Song I Still Remember, Bloc Party.
Helicopter was released as a single in October 2004, becoming Bloc Party's biggest hit so far, a cool number 26.
Right.
Even more impressively, Silent Alarm hit the shelves at the beginning of February 2005, entering the UK album chart at number 3, and remained on the chart, on and off, for the next 2 years. A
Nice.
re-release of Banquet would reach number 13 in May. But more important to their target audience though, Silent Alarm would win Album of the Year from NME, with Arcade Fire's Funeral at number 2.
That's huge. Okay.
All in all, Silent Alarm marked Bloc Party as different, heavier, more sensitive with an expanded musicality than what the press saw as their peers. They would tour with Kaiser Chiefs, the Futureheads and the Killers on the 2005 NME Awards tour.
Oh, wow.
But that didn't
Oh, my God. Wow. Kaiser Chiefs, Futureheads, and Killers. Those are good matches, I would say.
the Futureheads and the Killers on the 2005 NME Awards tour. But that didn't mean they agreed with the magazine's manufactured movement. To be honest, we always kept ourselves apart from the scene. I know they tried to create this whole post-punk revival scene back then, but we never really felt that close to any of these bands that we were supposed to be close to. It's not like we were all hanging out with each other in East London at the time. We're a bit cynical about the whole thing, to tell the truth.
Wow. Just thinking about the marketing of music and how bands get lumped into each other. They do have a common sound. They take from similar genres, like the Killers were rock, but with like an electronic influence. They had a keyboard player. People thought they were British when they first came out. I remember that. Yeah, it's hard to... Unfortunately, they fit right into that, you know? I guess on one hand, it's good to be lumped in with the group because it signals to people who buy music what they're going to get, and it puts your music in front of people who will probably buy it, but then that's going to end up going out of fashion, and when that's no longer in vogue, you're left with that, unless you're able to change all that. But man, yeah, that's weird. I'm torn about that. I feel sorry for him because I know it's like, it feels like it undermines the art of it, right?
But not everyone was a fan of the band. Liam Gallagher of Oasis had called Bloc Party a band off University Challenge in the NME, before sounding off to MTV. People ask me these questions like, are they the new fucking Oasis? New fucking Blur? The new fucking thing? I couldn't give a fuck. I don't like them.
They're obviously the new thing, right?
I don't want to fight them. I don't want their fucking birds. I don't want to shoot their dogs. I don't want to stand on their hamster's head. I'm just not into their music.
Hey, that's not that bad. I was expecting something more ungrounded, but that's actually kind of... He's just being honest. He doesn't like their music. He's like, okay. But he's not saying they suck and they shouldn't be in existence, right?
When asked about the comments in Oasis 2 years later, Okereke replied, "They have had a totally negative and dangerous impact upon the state of British music. They have made stupidity hip. They claim to be inspired by the Beatles, but, and this so saddens me, they have failed to grasp that the Beatles were about constant change and evolution. Oasis are repetitive Luddites."
Burn. Wow. Wow. They have had a totally negative and dangerous impact upon the state of British music. They have made stupidity hip. What I gather from those sentences is that he's saying their bickering in the media and their attitudes towards other bands, bringing all this negativity, has only hurt things. He has a great point. Really great point. I think at the time, I didn't like Oasis because they were so negative and I felt like they ripped off the Beatles. And then I love this next bit. They claim to be inspired by the Beatles, but they have failed to grasp that the Beatles were about constant change and evolution. Yes. Yes. Oasis only were inspired by the surface of what the Beatles were about, right? If you look into the Beatles deeper, it's about constant change and evolution. And I've always thought that, if the Beatles were around right now, if the Beatles were born in, say, the year 2000, and they've grown up, and we first heard about them 5 years ago, they probably would not be a rock band. They would probably be using drum machines or samples and synths and I don't know. What's the latest stuff? I don't know. They wouldn't be a rock band. They would be something else. Maybe one album they'd be a rock band, and another album they'd be a hip-hop band, or hip-hop group. You know what? Yeah, I see what he means. Oasis are repetitive Luddites. Shit. Burn.
In the eyes of the British music press, it evoked a similar feud with another.
I gotta say before we get off that, I love this guy. I think he's brilliant. I wish him all the success in the world. I think he's brilliant. I don't know what else to say. He seems very talented. He's got his head on straight. He's smart. He's wise. I like him.
Luddites. In the eyes of the British music press, it evoked a similar feud with another British band whose name began with BL a decade prior. Though this time it wasn't a chart battle, more a war with words. The clash ended in 2009 at festival Rock en Seine, where headliners Oasis broke up hours before their performance, had to cancel, and the second billed Bloc Party were the ones to inform the crowd.
Wait, what? Why didn't they just say Blur? Let me back up. Oh, in the eyes of the British music press, it evoked a similar feud that Oasis had with Blur. Okay, I got it. So in 2009, when Oasis broke up, hours before their performance, had to cancel, Bloc Party was... Bloc Party was playing before them, and they had to tell the crowd. What an honor! I wonder if they celebrate or played like Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead or something like that. How fascinating! Wait, oh, come on.
To cancel, and the second billed Bloc Party were the ones to inform the crowd.
Crazy.
Oh, Oasis are cancelled. So I'd like to take this moment to say, oh, that's a shame, isn't it, guys?
Well, that's crazy because I'm sure some of those people came just to see Oasis,
So I guess, by default, we are headlining.
Yeah! Way to go!
I'd like to...
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Oh, that's so... I'm tearing up.
dedicate this next song to anyone that really, really wanted to see those inbred twins.
Wow.
Bloc Party would follow up their debut in 2007 with A Weekend in the City, entering the UK chart a place higher at number 2. His first single, The Prayer, would also be their biggest chart hit ever, hitting number 4. By this point, looking back to album number 1, Okereke was frustrated by his wishy-washy words, especially with his newfound lyrical specificity. One of the things I was most disappointed about with Silent Alarm was I was hiding behind abstraction. Then I really got into the Smiths. Their lyrics were amazing, so focused. There's no worse sin as an artist than hiding behind cliches and abstraction. If he has something to say, it should be able to be understood by everyone.
Oh, that's so interesting. Again, with the wise thoughts, this guy. Okereke. When they were talking about Silent Alarm earlier, I got the impression that The abstraction is what enabled the listener to apply anything to their own lives. But I guess that's something that they didn't like about it. There's no worse sin as an artist than hiding behind cliches and abstraction. Huh. That is interesting. Throughout a lot of art forms, it seems that in an attempt to be universal, we'll often try to make things very broad. We think that makes it more relatable, when actually people relate more to specificity. For some reason, you think you're trying to make it really general and that's gonna bring people in, but no, it's being specific to your own experience, and that's what brings people in, because they're having the same experiences. Your truth resonates with other people, right? Yo, this guy's brilliant.
Part of this abstraction may have been due to Akereke's shaded sexuality, the press hounding him for answers, getting none, and then overanalyzing his fleeting personal comparisons to David Bowie and Brian Molko of Placebo. Though A Weekend in the City would feature a romantic remembrance of a same-sex tryst on I Still Remember.
We left our trousers by the canal.
Just leave them.
It wouldn't be until March 2010 they came out publicly as queer. As such, Silent Alarm now feels like Akereke.
I'm sorry, Al. I'm distracted by the trousers by the canal. I have to back up. It's making me think of a scene in that Stanley Kubrick film, Barry Lyndon, where there's two soldiers skinny dipping in a river with each other. They're lovers. And Barry Lyndon steals one of their uniforms. It's a funny scene. Anyway.
It wouldn't be until March 2010 they came out publicly as queer. As such, Silent Alarm now feels like Akereke, trying to allude to his identity, but clouded by his nerves to be that open on record. Whenever I go out, I'm always stopped by young gay kids who say it's really refreshing and encouraging to see someone like me being out in a relatively mainstream band. If I'd had someone saying it's okay to be you when I was a teenager, I'd probably be a very different person.
Wow.
That's why I'm doing this now, after years of not doing it.
Wow. He's an inspiration, y'all. That's great. It is amazing. Even like 2004, we were just talking about where George W. Bush made gay marriage an issue. And that's what helped him win the election. One of the things, I mean. At least that's what a lot of political analysts say. He turned that into an issue. Well, gosh, it's 20. Well, that was 20 years ago. We're all old, y'all. If you're watching this channel, you're old too. We're all old. We're all old. But magazine. It's a great title for a magazine. But
musically, bands like Foals, The Maccabees, Bombay Bicycle Club, Everything Everything, Two Door Cinema Club, Alt J, and even the 1975 have followed in Bloc Party's footsteps to make sonically promiscuous indie rock. It has also been argued that without Bloc Party, their electronic elements and openness to be remixed, the British new rave scene wouldn't have happened.
there.
What you want, I can give you what you want.
So now, nearly 2 decades later, why'd they feel so underrated? The Bloc Party of 2022 features only Akereke and Lizek from their original lineup.
Okay.
And while their last 4 albums have been an evolution of the Bloc Party sound, and been interesting in their own right, they have had nowhere near the attention of their first 2 LPs. Despite this, Banquet is an eternal indie disco floor filler. Its lightning fills an urgent, seesawing guitar attack, filling the same place as Blue Monday, Girls and Boys, or Take Me Out, in the British student consciousness. And on Silent Alarm, they were truly on fire. Thanks for watching. So what did you think? Let me know by commenting down below. If you liked this video, like, subscribe, and why didn't you also do me a favor and share it with a couple of people? It
Y'all be sure to go to Trash Theory and like, subscribe.
really does help. Also, I'd like to shout out this month's new top-tier supporters over on Patreon. Racer Z, Renee Feldvoss, Sasquatchia, Jill, and Justin Sheila. Thank you
Way to go, Jill.
so very much. And I'll
Okay.
see you in 2 weeks' time for something about teenage lust for the older generation.
Okay. Well, that was great. Y'all be sure to go to Trash TV. And if you made this far in the video, maybe give me a like and subscribe as well. This was fascinating. I'm surprised I never heard of them. I never heard any of their music. I like the drummer, Matt Tong. He said they've put out recent albums. Did see several albums on that. Okay, Pulp. Let's see what the Apple Music Essentials says. This Modern Love is the first, Banquet, Helicopter, Flux, The Girls Are Fighting Prayer, Sex Magic. Okay. It's always interesting to see how Apple Music curates a band, and because they're pretty good at it. Oh, there's a whole remix album of Silent Alarm. Oh my god, that's brilliant. They did mention in the video that they were open to being remixed. Yeah, why not, right? We can see, okay, 2007, 2008, then to 2013, so was that 5 years in between? Then 18, then 2022. Okay, interesting. Let's listen to their latest. When was this? 3 years ago. Yeah, Traps. That sounds amazing. It sounds huge. You know what I love about their guitar tone? You know, there's like a heavy metal guitar tone, I would say iconically like Metallica or like, you know, that kind of guitar tone. Humbuckers, really, really overdriven, distortion, but they're using single coil guitars. So there's not as much low end, but that's okay. Leave that low end for the bass guitar. That's why there's a bass guitar. A lot of times when you have the heavy metal guitars, you gotta carve out place for the bass guitar. You gotta turn the bass guitar way down because you're also fighting with the kick drum. These guitar tones, they're using Telecasters. Perfect. The best guitar for recording, in my opinion. It works. It's just a sound that works. It's like an angry chihuahua. This is a great video. Thanks for recommending this, Kate. Y'all be sure to contact Kate. Be sure to find out her home address and dock her and harass her. I'm kidding. This video is for entertainment purposes only. That was a joke. Well, y'all, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.